TV7 Israel News is made possible thanks to your generous donations. Shalom, good evening. This is TV7 Israel News broadcast to you from Jerusalem. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu thanks God for the victories granted to Israel and the United States in the war versus the Islamic Republic of Iran. President Donald Trump releases a statement in which he questions why wouldn't there be regime change when it comes to the Ayatollah regime in Tehran. The IDF cautions Israelis to maintain vigilance as the war with Iran rages on. Jerusalem's Prime Minister thanks God for granting Israel's defense forces and intelligence apparatus the upper hand over its enemies, and gratitude for the unwavering bond between Israel and the United States of America. In an address to the nation, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu emphasized the unique relationship between President Donald Trump and himself after the American leader granted the order to eradicate Iran's subterranean nuclear infrastructure over the weekend.
I recited a prayer of gratitude and asked for continued success. Gratitude for the heroic actions that broke the boundaries of all imagination by the Israel Defense Forces and Mossad. Gratitude for the bravery of our nation, your bravery, citizens of Israel in the home front, for all that you are doing, responsibly with discipline and bravery. Gratitude also for the unprecedented partnership with my friend of many decades, President Donald Trump. We have brought the teamwork between us and collaboration between our countries to unprecedented heights. President Trump said it perfectly, never was there such teamwork between two leaders.
U.S. President Trump, in an announcement after U.S. forces bombed 3 of Iran's strategic nuclear sites, praised the teamwork between Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and himself, and emphasized that the 3 sites were totally obliterated.
The U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, for his part, alongside the U.S. military's chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, expanded on the successful operation, all the while warning the Islamic Republic of Iran that any retaliation against the United States would draw the far superior U.S. military into a full-fledged offensive.
At approximately 6:40 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 2:10 a.m. Iran time, the lead B-2 dropped 2 GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator weapons on the first of several aim points at Fordow. As the president stated last night, the remaining bombers then hit their targets as well, with a total of 14 MOPs dropped against 2 nuclear target areas. All 3 Iranian nuclear infrastructure targets were struck between 6:40 p.m. and 7:05 p.m. Eastern Time. Again, that's about 2:10 in the morning local time in Iran, with the Tomahawk missiles being the last to strike at Esfahan to ensure we retain the element of surprise throughout the operation. Following weapons release, the Midnight Hammer strike package exited Iranian airspace and the package began its return home. Iran's fighters did not fly, and it appears that Iran's surface-to-air missile systems did not see us. Throughout the mission, we retained the element of surprise. In total, U.S. forces employed approximately 75 precision-guided weapons during this operation. This included, as the president stated last night, 14 30,000-pound GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrators, marking the first ever operational use of this weapon.
Any retaliation by Iran against the United States of America will be met with force far greater than what was witnessed tonight. Signed, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump. Iran would be smart to heed those words. As President Trump has stated, the United States does not seek war. But let me be clear. We will act swiftly and decisively when our people, our partners, or our interests are threatened. Iran should listen to the President of the United States and know that he means it, every word.
Meanwhile, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance, in an interview to ABC this week, emphasized that moving forward, the Islamic Republic of Iran has a choice to make.
But we know that we set the Iranian nuclear program back substantially last night. Whether it's years or beyond that, we know it's going to be a very long time before Iran can even build a nuclear weapon if they want to. But I actually think that raises the most important question. The president talked about this last night. We want Iran to give up their nuclear weapons program peacefully, but there is no way that the United States is going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And so they really have to choose a pathway, John. Are they going to go down the path of continued war, of funding terrorism, of seeking a nuclear weapon, or are they going to work with us to give up nuclear weapons permanently? If they're willing to choose the smart path, they're certainly going to find a willing partner in the United States to dismantle that nuclear weapons program. But if they decide they're going to attack our troops, if they decide they're going to continue to try to build a nuclear weapon, then we are going to respond to that with overwhelming force.
With regard to America's strategic rivals, Vice President Vance stressed that one of the few issues where Russia, China, and the United States have broad agreement is that we don't want to see a nuclear arms race in the Middle East, as he put it.
Iran having a nuclear weapon, nuclear proliferation in the Middle East is a disaster for pretty much everybody. It's one of the few issues where Russia, China, and the United States have broad agreement, is that we don't want to see a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. So what the president did was very important. I'll let President Putin speak to what the official Russian position on this is, but I feel very confident that both for Russia, for China, and most importantly, of course, for us, we don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, and I think that goal is going to continue to animate American policy for the next few years.
Vice President Vance went on to stress that the United States was not keen on bringing about regime change in Iran. Subsequently, however, U.S. President Donald Trump posted on his Truth Social platform overnight, quote, "It's not politically correct to use the term regime change. But if the current regime in Iran is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be regime change?" In a statement clearly warning the mullahs in Tehran that unless they alter course, the survival of the regime will be in question. Meanwhile, IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Eyal Zamir stressed following the American strike on Iran's nuclear infrastructure yesterday that it presented a significant turning point in the campaign against the Islamic Republic of Iran.
We are on day 10 of Operation Rising Lion. So far, we have achieved many objectives, including significantly damaging Iran's nuclear program. We've reached a turning point in the campaign, following last night's very precise and impressive strike by the U.S. military on key nuclear sites. This strike was made possible thanks to the courageous leadership of our American partners and due to a combined diplomatic and military effort.
Despite the significance of the American strikes, General Zamir emphasized that the war with Iran is ongoing, with many more objectives to complete.
We must not forget, the campaign is ongoing and we still have targets to strike and objectives to complete. We continue to increase the rate of our strikes in accordance with the operational plan, and we are prepared to continue for as long as necessary.
While the Israeli Air Force and other branches of Israel's defense and intelligence apparatus continue to degrade hundreds of Iranian targets daily, to include today, the Ayatollah regime, for its part, continues to launch limited salvos of ballistic missiles towards civilian Israeli neighborhoods and infrastructure, with limited penetrations of ballistic missiles reported.
אנחנו ביום ה-11 של מבצע עם כלביא.
We are now on the 11th day of Operation Rising Lion. Even at this very hour, we continue to strike and dismantle the missile production and launch capabilities of the Iranian regime. At this moment, IAF aircraft are intensifying strikes in the Tehran area, focusing on IRGC headquarters and all aspects of the threat posed to the state of Israel. In recent hours, sirens have been activated across the country due to several isolated launches in multiple barges. The aerial defense systems operated to detect and intercept the threats. As I've said before, the defense is not hermetic. Home front command guidelines are an additional layer of protection for the public. Following them saves lives. When a siren is sounded, enter a protected space and remain there until the home front command issues new instructions. At times, such as this morning, the barrages may continue over an extended period, and it is necessary to stay inside the protected space.
General Defrin went on to stress to the Israeli public to maintain vigilance as the terror regime in Tehran continues to deliberately strike at Israel's civilian neighborhoods. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. Please pray for the hostages in Hamas captivity in the Gaza Strip that after this weekend, 3 additional bodies of hostages were successfully retrieved, leaving 50 additional hostages in Gaza to date. Pray also for the Israeli, US, British, Finnish, French, Australian, and other service members operating throughout the Middle East, as well as please pray for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. Wishing you a Shavua Mevorach, and God willing, we will see you again in our next update. Until then, Shalom from Jerusalem.